To our next guest, and also so excited to talk about this new show that they have. Everybody knows the novel, A Gentleman in Moscow. It has now been adapted into a series for Paramount Plus and Showtime, and the stars of it are a dynamic duo, Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So excited to talk about this because I'm just an addict for anything Russian and Russian history. So I just was going down all kinds of rabbit holes and love the novel also. But Ewan, I have to tell you, the very first time I met you was like more than 20 years ago. And we were at a party and it was in Malibu. And I think I was there with Dan Jinks, a producer who you've worked on things with, one of my best friends.
Big Fish.
And Big Fish and Down with Love. And I saw him standing with you, and then Carrie Fisher walked up, and he said, "Obi-Wan Kenobi, meet Princess Leia." And that was the moment you met her.
Yeah, I know. It was so. I remember it very clear. I remember the party. I loved working with David Hyde Pierce, and he invited us all up to his place in Malibu, didn't he? And we're on the beach. It was It was a very sort of like out of a Hollywood movie type affair. And then suddenly there was Carrie Fisher, and I ended up sitting in the sand with her and talking as if I'd known her. She just was the kind of person you felt like you'd known her for all your life, you know. She was we had so much in common, not just with the Star Wars, you know, having been in the Star Wars world, which of course was a big part of what we shared, but there was other things in common about our lives, and she was someone I felt totally comfortable talking totally openly with, and we became nice friends. You know, I miss her being around a lot. You know, I really loved the times that I spent with her. We co-hosted a party at her place once, in one of those Hollywood ways. We co-hosted for the movie Milk before the Oscars. And we were fabulous co-hosters, you know. We were. I think Colleen Camp was the third. There was three of us: me, Carrie Fisher, and Colleen Camp. I mean, what a trio! It was very funny. So anyway, but I remember that party well, and it was a wonderful. I could not believe that I met and knew her, you know, on that day because she was such a hero of mine when I was a kid, you know.
I know. It was, as like a movie nerd, just watching the two of you talk was heaven.
Oh my God.
Well, thank you for reminding me of that. That's nice. Yeah.
Anyway, it's the two of you in, you know, A Gentleman in Moscow. And I'm so curious, obviously you're married to each other. Were you actively looking for a project to do together, or was this something that you were attached to first? How did it all work?
Yes, I mean, we always are. I mean, we love working together. We met working together on Fargo season 3. There's something very instinctive and lovely about working together. And it's very much a part of us and who we are, and our love of our work and our love of each other. And so we are always on the eye out for something. I don't know that this came about that way.
Yeah, it was definitely like just an amazing piece for you, you know, and both of us, I think, had been aware of the novel. So it was sort of like, oh, the Count. Yeah, it was sort of, I hadn't read it, but kind of knew about it. And so it's immediately was like, oh, that would be an incredible role for you. And you started reading the novel. And he was just, as you were reading it, I just remember you would just sort of give me these little cheeky glances. You'd go, ooh. There's a very interesting woman in here. You know, and he would sort of
a woman with Russian wolfhounds.
Yeah, you know, he'd give me all these little, you know, tidbits, like just kind of raise an eyebrow and go, "Oh, there she is again." Oh, that's very interesting. So he sort of was hinting that it could be, a good opportunity for us, and it took its time to kind of reveal itself, but it just turned out to be right and amazing.
Well, and for people that don't know, you know, A Gentleman in Moscow, which, you know, we're in post-revolutionary Russia, but also the Count has been stripped down, placed under like a house arrest of sort in this grand Moscow hotel. So it's still like cool as hell seemingly during the day, with people still influxing in, i.e., you know, an actress coming through, you know, people, whatever. But like, what made you want to dig in on Count Alexander? Like, what aspect of, you know, he as a man who's stripped down, having to rebuild, is that what kind of piqued your interest about who this person was?
there's lots of things about him that I just loved, that I thought were heartbreaking, that I thought were amusing. He's very funny. He's very clever. But it's a story about a man who believes very much in his status as an aristocrat, and as that's stripped away from him, he still resists and still he still dresses to go for dinner when everybody else is in the hotel is trying to just look like, part of the Soviet Union. He's still like wearing his grandfather's type clothing and ordering fine wines and whatever. I just thought it was it's funny. He digs his heels in. It says, one of the other characters says he's surviving. But then the story takes him to a place where he's able to drop all of that, and he realizes he changes, and he becomes a man, and he becomes a lover and a husband of sorts, and then he becomes a father. And those aspects of him, the change in his story, in his character, I thought were amazing. What an opportunity for an actor. I'm also a dad to four daughters. We have a beautiful son, a 2.5-year-old boy, Laurie. But his relationship with, firstly, Nina, a young girl in the hotel, I totally got. He befriends, or this girl befriends him, he befriends her, and they sort of become soulmates in this hotel. She shows him how to sort all the back passageways and all the secret hideaways, and she, in a very childlike way, shows him how he can survive in this place and have fun like a child, and he really rises to that. And I love that. I recognize that side of him in my relationship with my daughters, and it's also a story about, I didn't really realize until I was making it, but it's also a story about adoption, and I have an adopted daughter, Jamyan, and the Count, in a way, adopts Sophia in this story, and I thought, oh my goodness, of course it's so relevant to me, because it's so relevant to me, I'm so thick, I didn't realize it to begin with. It was right in front of my eyes.
And Mary, do you like to be called Mary or Mary Elizabeth?
Just Mary is great.
Because
yes.
I have always called you Mary Elizabeth, and then right before we went on, I was like, I wonder if she likes the whole thing or just the first part.
I don't mind it. I don't correct people.
It's such a beautiful name. I think that's why.
I feel a bit fabulous.
Yeah, my favorite, Mary Elizabeth. But what is, for Anna, what was it about her? Because I'm 2 episodes in, and we haven't, she's still the
just
grand,
getting to know her.
Yeah, just getting to know her. She's very grand. Tell us a little bit about her, but also can you kind of tease for anybody that hasn't read the novel, what is her arc?
Yeah, it was so amazing because, you get to see it in the novel. I mean, it's beautiful, their relationship in the novel, and she's such an incredible character. But there's things that are sort of sketched out and hinted at in the novel that we get to spend a lot more time with on the show, in terms of what she's going through in her life and career and her ups and downs. And you really see her go on such a journey with her life, and especially her life with the Count, and how that grows and deepens. And it's amazing because it takes like 30 years for her to fully drop her walls. But it was such a treat to get to play someone who takes that long, who has so many hard edges and is so grand and is so sort of covering up so much of their actual humanity and vulnerability inside, that it takes 30 years of a relationship for them to really kind of drop it all. To get to sort of take all that time to get there was really juicy and beautiful and wonderful to get to do it with my amazing actor husband.
I love it. She's this very famous film star, like walks into the hotel, bringing these giant dogs with her, and she just turns them loose. That are like
wild, yeah.
Yeah, and they just lets them eat everybody. No, they don't eat anyone, but they do eat food. Yeah, she's very much, I was saying earlier, she's a very modern woman in this very, antiquated time, and she really kind of follows her own desires, which was really, really fun to play.
As someone who's just so, this is what I want to do today. This is the man I want to sleep with today. I'm not going to speak to him for 3 years after that because I don't feel like it. She really follows her desires of the moment, and that was very liberating to do.
I think when I first started watching, because I wasn't familiar with the book, so I kind of went in blind to watching the pilot episode. And, when we're set up with like, this man is under house arrest, aristocrats are being murdered left and right, and we see like, over the course of a couple episodes, someone trying to leave and getting shot. And I thought, oh my God, like constantly like, pool of sweat in my hand. And then I realized, oh no, that's not exactly what this series is. And there's more like of an element of whimsy to it. But did you keep in the back of your mind, in that like weight of the stress of the outside world, which allows him to escape a little bit further into what's happening within the walls?
Yes, I think it was important that we did remind ourselves, but also that the piece reminds the audience always that there's danger, that there, and also with what's happening in the world, we were telling a story about Russia, and Russia from this massive change in its history, from the revolution at the very beginning of 1920 or 1919, I don't know when the actual revolution was, but that when it changed and became a communist place. We're telling the story of how Russia became the Russia we know today. And so that was always at the back of our minds, And what makes Amor's novel so beautifully and so cleverly written is that's the backdrop, So we try to keep the danger there for the Count. It would be too... the idea that if he steps out of the hotel, he'll be shot, and that's a reality. We see later on in the series becomes very important. So it was important to remind everyone of that. And I think the writing, Ben Van Stone did an amazing job writing a television version of this wonderful novel.
The hotel, I thought, was so fascinating because Amor Towles, who wrote the novel, was actually inspired by these hotels that he had been in Europe, where there were these permanent residents whose lives had been upended. That was all sort of the inspiration. Where did you guys actually shoot the whole thing?
Manchester, England, of all places,
Oh.
which you wouldn't really think, would double for Moscow. But, we really were working on a set, a very, very grand, beautifully designed and built set. And then you had a bit of exteriors to do where they found parts of northern England that could kind of, pass for Moscow for a few shots. But mostly we're in this set that was like transported us every day to this other time and place in the most beautiful way. It was really the most incredible set I've ever personally worked on, where you step foot on it and you're just sort of in awe of every corner.
Yeah.
It was really incredible.
The backstage of the hotel, the back corridors, staircases, the servants' area, those we found in different towns round about the north of England. We shot in Liverpool. At the beginning, when the Count is crossing Red Square in the snow, that was outside Bolton's town hall in the summer. They had fake snow out and horses and wearing great coats and freeze. And if you panned slightly right, you'd see families watching with ice creams in their shorts. It was amazing. And some of these beautiful buildings of the correct period exist all over the north of England. Town halls and civic buildings and absolutely beautiful places we found.
Julia and I always talk about horror movies on the air, and I don't know if you guys are horror fans, but I'm shocked that Julia hasn't brought up Final Destination 3
Well, I was
yet.
even thinking about it this entire time.
That is hilarious.
She can't even concentrate.
We're trying to find a segue in.
Yeah, we're Final
you were
Destination
trying to find
heads.
a way. He just did it.
No, you and I had it in the back of my head because there's a scene where you have this magnificent mustache and scissors come right at your face to chop that mustache. And I thought, God, if Mary Elizabeth Winstead was on set, she probably was thinking Final Destination is happening right now with those scissors coming to Ewan's face.
So true. The sort of Rube Goldberg, the chain effect could start at any time. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Terrifying.
Have you sat Ewan
have
down
real
to...
blades in your face?
I don't remember having real
Not
blades.
I have real
blades,
blades
but-
in my face. real blades. They were real scissors that the guy came
Were you
at me with.
scared?
I was quite scared,
Yeah.
yeah, which helped.
Well, also when you see that
Yeah.
guy who cuts part of your mustache off seems completely unhinged.
I know,
I
I
would
was
have been
like-
nervous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was nerve-wracking. Yes.
Mary, have you sat Ewan down to go over the full timeline of Final Destination just so it's understood
No,
in the
I
whole family?
should. I
Okay.
would say that I've gotten you a bit more into
Yeah,
horror
yeah.
films than you were before.
Definitely.
Yeah. We do enjoy we enjoy sitting down with the popcorn and watching
Yeah.
a good horror film, which I feel like was my
Yeah.
influence. So I'm proud.
love
I'm proud of
that.
that.
Yeah.
But I haven't quite made it to the Final Destination franchise.
I've watched it though.
Have you watched all of them?
Oh no,
No,
no.
you haven't. So that's
I have not.
we haven't gotten there.
I've
yet.
watched yours, darling.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Marvelous.
God.
Oh my
So
God.
in
Well,
love. I love it.
when you met on Fargo, Mary, you must have had so many questions about Shallow Grave.
Oh, right.
I mean, a
No,
classic.
actually,
Yeah, true.
I hadn't seen that one until a few years ago. I mean, amazingly, at that and that's so. Oh my God, what a brilliant
Yeah.
movie!
It's a good old film, that one.
So good, love it.
Yeah.
Well, I love that obviously it's sort of like, yes, I want you to show him all the Final Destination films, but have you been like, I am really proud of this piece of work. I would love to show it to you, vice versa. Does that happen? Because it seems like you guys are slightly movie buffs, or is that like, ugh, that feels gross?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we did that in at the beginning of our relationship.
Mhm.
We watched. I watched all of Mary's work and
Oh,
things I
wow.
hadn't seen and things I had seen and reminded myself of, and yeah. And then of course everything that she's been working on since we've been together. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think Mary is one of the great actors of our time. So I'm
Very
very,
lovely.
very lucky to be married to her and also to get to work with her.
What were you both excited to show each other of your own work when you first met?
I don't think she'd seen my tomato commercial that I did for Channel 4. Yeah, I did
You did not
with
show me that.
Judi Dench. Have I not shown you that?
I've seen it, but not because you showed.
Oh, I thought I showed that to you. Oh, wow.
I think I just unearthed that
dear.
somewhere myself. But yeah, I don't know. I think we probably were both like, I don't know. I think I felt nervous knowing because we watched when we were away from each other. We didn't like sit down and watch them together. So when we were apart and things like that,
Yeah.
I would watch your movies and he would watch mine. So I think I was always nervous thinking about you watching any of my films.
Yeah.
I sort of thought, oh God, what's
I hadn't
watching
seen
now?
Smashed, and that
Ooh,
that's
incredible.
so
one
good.
that is such an amazing, what an amazing performance, like from Mary, really, really amazing. And that film just blew me away. That you blew me away from that
I
film. Yeah.
love, very love it. I
Yeah.
mean, I think everyone has so many multiple films to choose from for you, so it's hard to even pick one out. But I mean, getting to watch because I had never seen Velvet Goldmine.
Right.
I had never seen that.
Wow.
I had seen Beginners. That was already a favorite, so it was fun to rewatch that.
Yeah.
But oh my God, you're brilliant in everything. We could just gush about each other.
Oh my God. And then there's just so much weirdly like intersection where you're like, oh, I know, Star Wars done it. Me too.
Yeah.
That's true.
That is funny now that we're both in our little boy, he just doesn't stand a chance, does he, with the Star Wars connection? His mum and dad are now both.
And he's already, I mean, we just sort of had The Mandalorian on recently, and he was just sort of like, whoa.
Oh,
what is
really?
that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like,
God.
he was like, stop everything.
Yeah.
And he wants to rewatch parts. He's like, back to the beginning, back to the beginning, back to the beginning. And he loves he loves the spaceships. He loves it's just like, it's already,
He's in.
he's in.
We showed it to him because he loves Grogu. He has a toy Grogu since he was born, like stuffed one, And then I was visiting Mary on set when she was doing Ahsoka, and I took Laurie with me, and the puppeteer guys had the real Grogu there, and they brought him out, and they we took him Laurie into a room to meet Grogu, and Grogu was on this little plinth, and all the guys were sort of standing to the side, but making him work with their remote controls. And Grogu was like interacting with Laurie, and he freaked out, like totally lost his shit.
Oh wait, in a
Well,
good
yeah.
way, or was it?
I think
No,
that's
in a
kind of
bad
scary.
way. In a bad way.
He
He just
was
he
terrified.
was terrified.
He was terrified. He didn't want to go near it. Like we were, because he was very little at the
Small,
time.
yeah.
So he was like 1.5. So we were holding him up and, putting him towards Grogu. And he was like climbing away, his whole body, crawling to get away. We're like, oh my God, this was not the reaction we hoped for.
But then more recently, we said, "Would you like to see him on he was on television? He was that? Yeah. So we played him, I think episode 2 of Mandalorian, the season 1 where he arrives,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was spellbound. But
Oh.
you could see his mind being taken by the Star
whole
Wars of it
world.
all, not
Yeah.
just Grogu, which was interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, so someday he's just gonna completely be a Star Wars fan and not even care that you guys are in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I
like,
don't know.
he sees
Or-
you every day. He's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't want to see your parts. Can we just skip past that?
Anyway, thank you so much. Ewan McGregor, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. The show is A Gentleman in Moscow, and it's going to be, I'm going to say this all right, March 29th on Paramount Plus with the Showtime plan. And then it's going to be on Showtime March 31st. So,
That's my birthday, March 31st. Yeah.
I
Wow.
usually
I want
look
that
up
birthday
happy
present.
birthday.
What a gift.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
What else are you going to do for your birthday?
I don't know yet. I'm not quite sure yet. That's maybe
Might have to be a surprise.
it might have to be a surprise. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much. I'm here with the host of